Well, hello and welcome to Game Faces coverage of our Premier Division A grade first semi-final here between Monbulk and Emerald. Live and exclusive to the local footy hub here at Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve. I'm Adam Miller taking you through all of today's action between third and fourth on the ladder. Monbulk through today's first semi-final after losing to Wandon in last week's qualifying final. Emerald through to this semi-final after defeating Wooriallic in an absolute thriller by 1 goal to progress through to the second week. These two sides have already faced off twice this season. The ledger currently stands at 1-1. 51-52 was the score in the first game. 45-56 was the score in the second game. And hoping to see a really close clash here. Of course, the winner of today's game will go through to next week's preliminary final, which will be played against Wandon over at Gembrook Recreation Reserve. So looking forward to that game. We'll now take a look at the starting lineups for both these sides. For Monbulk, Perry Reid starts as goal shooter. Steph Ferguson lines up as goal attack. Sophie Stubbs will start as wing attack. Nicole McDowell in the centre. Rhianna Kelly will start as wing defence. Grace Scott Thomas as goal defence. Paige Whitworth as goalkeeper. And on the interchange will be Georgia Wilson, Taya Barnett and Jen Dewhurst. For Emerald, Jackie Cutting starts as goal shooter. Mackenzie Fox will start as goal attack. Maddie Taylor as wing attack. Krista Tomlinson will start as a centre. Alice Paget as wing defence. Casey Rhodes Anderson will start as a goal defence. Brady Smith as goalkeeper, as we're just about to have the toss of the coin. And all right, so it looks like Monbulk will be going to the left-hand side of your screen. Emerald will be going to the right-hand side of your screen. And Emerald will have the first centre pass via Krista Tomlinson. On the interchange also for Emerald will be Erin Anza, Taylor Simpson and Stacey Woodrow.
Emerald's won the toss. Emerald will be shooting this way. Monbulk is this way.
Awesome, thank you very much. There we go. Confirmation there from the umpire. Emerald to the right-hand side of your screen. Monbulk to the left. And it will be Krista Tomlinson who will have the first centre pass to get proceedings underway. Don't forget as well, we do have the footy, which will be at 2:20pm between Wooriallic and Monbulk, live and exclusive to the local footy hub. I'll be taking you through all of that action as well, alongside Adam Brogden. Should be a ripping game. That one also 1-1 ledger in the home and away season. The winner of that through to next week's preliminary final to take on Linda Fernie Creek at Gembrook Recreation Reserve. So looking forward to what should be a couple of interesting clashes here in the Outer East. It's another action-packed day. Fair to say, plenty of wind around at the moment. Northerly breeze of at least about 35 kilometres per hour is what I'm being told, so could potentially affect the conditions and the state of play in this game. So that's going to be one of the things that the players will need to adapt to during the match. So scheduled start time is 12:00pm here at Yarra Junction. So all the live action only about 5 minutes away in what should be a thrilling contest. And if we go through some of the scores that did happen yesterday, of course, as mentioned earlier in the second semi-final, Mount Evelyn did take on Wandon, with Mount Evelyn winning that game in a thriller. 40 goals to 39 was the final score. So Mount Evelyn straight through to the grand final, Wandon into the preliminary final, and they will play the winner of today's first semi-final. In Division 1, in the A-grade preliminary final, it was Warburton Millgrove who got the job done over Pakenham by 5 goals. 43-38 was the final score in that game. Pakenham, after winning the last two encounters with Warburton Millgrove, couldn't quite get the job done in the preliminary final. So Warby through to their 4th straight grand final and gunning for 4 premierships in a row. They will take on last year's opponent in Seville. So that should be another really interesting game. Of course, when they played last year, it was only 1 goal that separated the sides in extra time. It was an absolute cliffhanger, and we hope to see something very similar next week. In the senior footy, again, it was Warburton Millgrove getting the job done over Pakenham. That was quite a convincing victory by 45 points, 19 goals, 1,125, defeated 12 goals, 880. And it was an absolute domination from Warburton Millgrove, start to finish. And they will also take on Seville like they are in the A-grade netball. They did play off just 2 weeks ago, or last week, sorry, it was in fact, in the second semi-final. Seville winning that game quite convincingly by 64 points, 19 goals, 1,226 to 9,862. So Warby will be looking to try and get a bit of revenge. Seville looking to try and keep things exactly the same. So if you are just tuning in, live action is scheduled to start at 12:00pm. We'll go through the starting lineups again for those who are just tuning in. So for Monbulk, Perry Reid will start as goal shooter. Steph Ferguson as goal attack. Sophie Stubbs will start as wing attack. Nicole McDowell will line up in the centre. Rhianna Kelly as wing defence. Grace Scott Thomas as goal defence. Paige Whitworth will start as goalkeeper. And on the interchange will be Georgia Wilson, Taya Barnett and Jen Dewhurst. For Emerald, Jackie Cutting starts as goal shooter. Mackenzie Fox as goal attack. Maddie Taylor will start as wing attack. In the centre will be Krista Tomlinson. Alice Paget will start as wing defence. Casey Rhodes Anderson will start as goal defence. Brady Smith will be goalkeeper. And on the interchange will be Erin Anza, Taylor Simonson and Stacey Woodrow, as both teams currently out there warming up. Well, Emerald currently warming up. Monbulk going through a couple of pre-game discussions. If you are just tuning in as well, it will be Emerald going to the right-hand side of your screen, Monbulk to the left. Emerald will have the first centre pass through Krista Tomlinson. So live action will be due to start at 12:00pm. And, of course, we do have the senior footy, which will be at 2:20 p.m. here at Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve as well. Live and exclusive to the local footy hub between Woorolloc and Monbulk. Those two sides have played twice this season with a 1-1 ledger. Monbulk defeating them in the early part of the season. Woorolloc getting the job done in the latter part of the season. Monbulk defeating Hillsville last week in the elimination final to progress through to today's semi-final, with Woorolloc going down to Lindaferny Creek by 4 points in last week's qualifying final. So the winner of that will go through to play Lindaferny Creek in next week's preliminary final, which will be played at Gembrook Recreation Reserve. Here in the A-grade netball, of course, the winner of today's game between Emerald and Monbulk will be through to the preliminary final to take on Wandon at Gembrook Recreation Reserve. So high stakes, it's do or die. Winner stays alive, loser goes home. As we do look forward to what should be a very interesting clash between two sides who, as mentioned, it is currently a 1-1 ledger. Sorry, Emerald, in fact, defeating Monbulk by 1 goal in the early part of the season. 52-51 was the score in that game. Monbulk winning much more convincingly in the second half of the year by 11 goals. 56-45 was the final score in that game. So Emerald certainly wanting to improve the ledger in that game, or in today's game, I should say. So, of course, Emerald just getting over the line over Woorolloc last week by 1 goal. 47-46 was the final score. Nearly going into extra time, unfortunately, for Woori. Matty Tucker unable to convert a shot at goal right on the siren. And Emerald, in fact, ultimately hang on. Monbulk did go down rather convincingly to Wandon, so they'll certainly want to bounce back today, keep their season alive. As mentioned, they do have the more recent victory over Emerald, so they'll take confidence from that. But this Emerald side do have a lot to prove. Unfortunately for them, they will be going down to Division 1 next season, with their footy side unfortunately finishing on the bottom of the ladder. So they do have a lot to play for. I want to try and get that premiership in Premier Division before they ultimately do have to go down to Division 1. So they'll be pretty hungry. And does make today's game quite important because it is a do-or-die preliminary final. We are about to get underway here at Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve. In just a few moments, Monbulk are already out, ready and rearing to go. Importantly for them, Steph Ferguson does come back into the side after missing out in last week's qualifying final. They'll be very happy to have her back into the team. Emerald, pretty much the exact same team that did play last week. So live action here in the first semi-final, about to get underway. It's Krista Tomlinson with a centre pass. It's Monbulk versus Emerald. And we are underway. So Krista Tomlinson does a full 360, eventually offloads to Maddie Taylor. She goes to Fox. Fox retreats to Rhodes Anderson. She retreats to Paget, then goes laterally to Tomlinson. Will put him inside the attacking third, but she's turned it straight over. Whitworth picks it off. McDowell back to Whitworth and then back into the hands of McDowell. Short, Whitworth looks up ahead. Good one there on that occasion to the hands of Kelly. Good long drive to McDowell. McDowell, good feed into Steph Ferguson, but no, Monbulk in fact to turn it over. So a reprieve for the Emerald defence. They get the ball back in hand. Smith, Tomlinson waits and then goes laterally to Paget. She'll go back to Tomlinson. Was there contact from Stubbs? Umpire lets it go. Paget waits and eventually offloads to Taylor. And a call for offside. So potentially the tennis court marking is causing a bit of confusion here. Kelly back to Whitworth. Whitworth beautifully done over the top to Scott Thomas, who played more mid-court last week. She's in defence now. McDowell eventually tracks it back after spilling it momentarily. Goes over the top and finds Ferguson. Rhodes Anderson pulled up for contact. McDowell. And that's a good feed from Steph Ferguson. Perry Reid will line up for the first goal of the first semi-final, and she puts it away. So Monbulk with an early break. They've got the first. Nicole McDowell with a centre passer. She's playing in the centre today. Sophie Stubbs wastes absolutely no time. Ferguson over the top. Perry Reid keeps it in play. Beautifully done. Feeds back to Ferguson. She converts. 2 goals early days in the first semi-final. 2-0. Tomlinson over the top to Cutting. Cutting does it well to Taylor. Taylor goes underground to Fox. And good work by Mac Fox, and she gets one back for Emerald, so they get their first goal of the first semi-final. 2-1. McDowell again with the centre pass. Quickly onto Ferguson. She finds Stubbs. Stubbs does it well. Back to Scott Thomas. Sophie Stubbs back into preferred wing attack position. Did pretty well in goals. Nearly picked off by Rhodes Anderson, but just a bit of contact on the way through on Perry Reid. So Steph Ferguson will line them up. Smith pulled out of it. And Perry Reid puts it away, gets the 2-goal margin back for Monbulk. 3-1 in the first semi-final. Tomlinson waits. Scott Thomas did well, gets a hand in. Stays with Emerald for the moment. Tomlinson looks for Taylor. That's where she goes. Taylor, good feed. Cutting though. Spilled it, and Monbulk on the counter-attack. McDowell got it from Whitworth. Goes over the top. Beautifully done by Scott Thomas. Over the top to Ferguson. She retreats back to Scott Thomas. Stubbs. Brought forward. Waste no time. Here is Nicole McDowell. And good feed to Perry Reid. Smith taken out of it. And 4 goals to 1 now, so this is a good start for Monbulk. Take plenty of confidence from this. That is a bullet from Sophie Stubbs. And again, Brodie Smith pulled up for contact. Stubbs, short, good one to Ferguson. And Steph Ferguson converts. And this is a very, very good start for Monbulk. Alarm bell's already ringing for Emerald. Paget, short one. Tomlinson offloads. Does it pretty well. Tomlinson does it nicely and into the hands of Mac Fox. So a really crucial shot at goal this for Emerald. Already 4 goals in arrears. Mac Fox gets one back for the Bombers. 5 goals to 2. Still a lot of work to be done here for Emerald. Ferguson, Tomlinson beautifully done. Picks it off, and Emerald are on the counter attack, but they've coughed it straight up. Pass from Tomlinson, just a bit too hot for Rhodes Anderson. McDowell with ball in possession for the moment. And Smith, unfortunately, got hands to it and probably didn't need to. Instinctively try to take possession, and Monbulk do maintain possession. So Ferguson, back to Stubbs. And Perry Reid, a little bit too good on that occasion, puts it away, gets it back to a 4-goal difference for Monbulk, 6 goals to 2. Tomlinson, Taylor, back to Tomlinson, and then Fox. Taylor, Fox, goes much further this time to Cutting. That's a good strong take. And nicely done by Jackie Cutting. She gets one back for Emerald, so 6 goals to 3. Still to the advantage of the Hawks. McDowell waited a long while, eventually offloaded to Stubbs. She goes short to Scott Thomas and then back to McDowell. Gets it moving forward to Sophie Stubbs. Across to Ferguson, laterally to McDowell. And that's a good feed, and Steph Ferguson gets another look at goal. And converts on the second opportunity. Back to 4 goals, the difference, 7 goals to 3. Tomlinson. And Monbulk on the counter-attack again. Scott Thomas, brilliantly done. Waste no time getting it to Stubbs. Goes back to Stubbs. Long drive, beautifully done into the hands of McDowell. Thought about Perry Reid. Here she is now, and through the hands of Perry Reid. So a little reprieve for the Emerald defence. So important that they convert off of this turnover. Tomlinson gets it from Smith, and nothing going right for Emerald at the moment. Steph Ferguson, back to Stubbs. Paget pulled up for contact. It comes back to Ferguson. Feeds to Reid. And back to Steph Ferguson. Smith did well enough, and she wastes absolutely no time. Good long drive to Tomlinson. Taylor goes back to Tomlinson. Comes back to Paget. She goes back to Tomlinson for a 3rd time in this passage. All the way across to Taylor. Was there contact? Umpire happy to allow it for now. And here is Jackie Cutting. And in all of that, Emerald should get it back to 3 goals of difference. Cutting doesn't convert the first opportunity, but makes no mistake on the second. 7 goals to 4. So can Emerald force another turnover? Stubbs. Retreated to Kelly. Stubbs. Smith will eventually get there. So Emerald are on the counter-attack. Here is a turnover. They've got to convert off the opportunity. Smith. Rhodes Anderson, sorry, in fact. As the wind starts to pick up a bit here at Yarra Junction. Tomlinson, long drive, beautifully weighted in the end to Taylor, who offloads back to Tomlinson. Sorry, Rhodes Anderson it was. Taylor. Tomlinson eventually feeds to Mac Fox, not happy with this spot. Whitworth nearly cutting it off, but just giving away contact, and an opportunity does present itself for Emerald to continue to pick away at the margin. Fox kept it in. Taylor's there to mop it up, and Jackie Cutting gets another look at goal. And eventually it drops, and eventually Emerald get it back to 2 goals the difference, 7 goals to 5. And Krista Tomlinson has the centre pass. Taylor, waste no time, finding Fox. Fox looks around, and there we go. I think I called for the transverse line on that occasion, Whitworth. So just as Emerald was starting to eat into the margin, they may have just let themselves down. McDowell, back to Scott Thomas, into the hands of Stubbs. Good long drive, it works out for Ferguson. Ferguson comes back to Stubbs. Stubbs, good one to Perry Reid, who can get it straight back out to a 3-goal difference, and she converts, 8 goals to 5. McDowell. Stubbs waits and waits. Works out in the end for Ferguson. Ferguson to McDowell. Back to Ferguson and then back to McDowell. Ferguson not looking for a shot at goal. And Perry Reid will. And just like that's right back out to a 4-goal break for Monbulk. 9 goals to 5. So Emerald again just well and truly in arrears in this game. Monbulk have definitely had the better of this first quarter. Taylor. Fox is out wide, but she goes in the other direction to Tomlinson. Taylor, very unsure where to go, but that's a clever feed. Mac Fox in good position, and more importantly, converts the opportunity. So they get it back to 3 goals, 9 goals to 6. But again, still a lot of work to be done here for Emerald. McDowell goes laterally, Ferguson goes forwards. High up and under ball, and that's going to work out perfectly for Perry Reid with a height advantage on Smith. Doesn't convert the first opportunity, and Smith, steadfast in defence, collects the rebound cleanly. She finds Taylor. She goes laterally to Rhodes Anderson. Back to Paget. Paget into the hands of Rhodes Anderson. Wasn't quite expecting it, but made it work. Good long drive. Finds Mac Fox. Looked up ahead to Cutting. Decided against that. Taylor. Tomlinson. Short feed to Mac Fox. Whitworth. Pulled up for contact, and Jackie Cutting converts. And they get it back to 2 goals the difference to Emerald. So they're hanging in there. So crucial they get the next one. Over the top to Cutting. Cutting. Back to Tomlinson. But again, Krista Tomlinson through the hands, and this could hurt. Ferguson. Stubbs. Offloads. Taylor did well to get a hand in, but no Emerald players there to keep the ball in play. Stubbs all the way across, nicely done to McDowell, and beautiful feed to Steph Ferguson, who can push this straight back out to a 3-goal difference, and she does. 10 goals to 7. They've nearly muddled that up, Monbulk, but Ferguson mops up the work, and Perry Reid does well, keeps it in. And a good look away feed to Ferguson. Ferguson converts back to 4 goals of difference, 11 goals to 7. So Monbulk again just ready, gaining control. Every time Emerald threatened to cut the margin away, they always get the response. Fox. Tomlinson, beautifully done, over the top and into the hands of Jackie Cutting, who has to convert here, and she does. 11 goals to 8, still the way Monbulk. McDowell, laterally. Scott Thomas did well. Over the top to Ferguson. Ferguson retreats and finds Kelly. Stubbs quickly offloads it to McDowell. She gets it to Ferguson. Ferguson back to McDowell. McDowell puts it up for Perry Reid. Rhodes Anderson this time pulled up for contact, and Perry Reid re-extends it back out to that 4-goal difference. 12 goals to 8. Tomlinson does it well, and again Emerald to turn it over. Ferguson laterally, Kelly onto Stubbs. All the way across to McDowell. McDowell, Perry Reid. Oh, Rhodes Anderson has done well enough. Crucial moment that for Emerald. Just as Monbulk were threatening to push it out to a 5-goal difference. Tomlinson retreats to Smith. She goes back to Tomlinson. Tomlinson, long drive. Taylor on the end of it. Mac Fox got Cutting over the back. Decides against that for the moment. Taylor, Tomlinson. Short pass is a good one to Taylor. Scott Thomas knocked it away from Mac Fox, but she's given away contact. And Mac Fox gets one back for Emerald. Back to 3 goals the difference. 12 goals to 9. Ferguson. Stubbs. Beautifully done to McDowell. Back to Scott Thomas, and then Scott Thomas back to McDowell. Stubbs, Perry Reid with front position, but she goes across to McDowell, and then she does eventually feed it to Perry Reid, who gets it back out to a 4-goal difference. 13 goals to 9 as we start to near quarter time here in the first semi-final. Tomlinson, beautifully done to Taylor. Good feed. Here is Mac Fox. Converts the opportunity, gets it back to 3 goals, the difference. 13 goals to 10, still the way of Monbulk, who've led it for the entirety of the game. Ferguson. Back to Scott Thomas. Scott Thomas, good long drive and nice take as well by Sophie Stubbs, 3 in the one hand, but Perry Reid couldn't quite reel it in with the one hand. Wasn't the most favourable. So can Emerald go end to end? Really need to cut into this margin. Paget, Smith, Tomlinson. Goes much longer. Cutting did it well. Good strong take. Brings it back into the middle of the court to Tomlinson. All the way out to Taylor. Beautifully done. Good feed to Mac Fox. And Jackie Cutting eventually collects it cleanly off hands. This to get it back to 2 goals the difference. And Jackie Cutting makes no mistakes. So 13 goals to 11. And Emerald have really cut down the margin. And Krista Tomlinson again. Every time they get it back to 2 goals, they muddle it up, Emerald. Crucial mistakes here that just aren't really helping them get themselves back into the game. Perry Reid, beautifully done. And just like that, straight back out to a 3-goal difference for Monbulk. 14 goals to 11. McDowell. Waste no time for Ferguson. Ferguson short to Stubbs. Stubbs back to Ferguson. Laterally to McDowell. Beautifully done. Perry Reid over the back. Plenty of room to work with. And she puts it away. Back-to-back goals for Monbulk. Back to 4 goals the difference. And that is quarter time here in the first semi-final in Premier Division A grade netball here in the outer east between Monbulk and Emerald and the Hawks. With the early advantage, 15 goals to 11 is the score. We'll now head off to a break for quarter time here at Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve. When we come back, we'll bring you all the action from the second quarter. And welcome back to Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve for the second quarter of the first semi-final in Premier Division A grade netball between Monbulk and Emerald. It's Nicole McDowell with the centre pass. It's Monbulk by 4 goals, and we are underway in the second quarter. McDowell straight into the hands of Sophie Stubbs. Good long drive back to McDowell. She retreats to Scott Thomas. McDowell for a 3rd time in this passage. Stubbs to Kelly. Came off the hands of Tomlinson, who's moved into wing attack for this quarter. Maddie Taylor jumps into the centre. And Steph Ferguson can put Monbulk out to a nearly 5-goal break in the second quarter, and she does. 16 goals to 11. And the Hawks well and truly on top early days in the first semi-final. And just breaking too early, so a chance for Emerald to maybe get the responding goal. Got to be contact against Whitworth, and it is. And Mac Fox, all on her own out the back, puts it away, gets it back to 4 goals the difference, 12 goals to 16. So Emerald get the response, but still 4 goals in arrears, still a lot of work to do. McDowell out wide to Stubbs, good one. Long drive, beautifully cut off though by Brodie Smith. Here's a chance for Emerald. On the counter-attack they are now. Tomlinson, back to Smith. Short to Rhodes Anderson. Back into the hands of Smith. Back to Rhodes Anderson. Now on to Paget. Paget, long drive, beautifully done to Mac Fox. Looks at Taylor, decides against it, retreats to Rhodes Anderson. Tomlinson, fake one way, then goes back the other. Back into the hands of Tomlinson. Over the top to Taylor. So this is a good build-up so far from Emerald. Tomlinson got it out wide. That's a beautiful feed onto Woodrow, who's come onto the court for this second quarter. Converts her first opportunity. Back-to-back goals for Emerald. Back to 3 goals the difference. And Maddie Taylor has a centre pass. So a chance to make it 3 goals in a row here for the Bombers. Taylor, long drive, beautifully done to Fox. All the way across to Tomlinson. Tomlinson goes all the way across to Taylor. Woodrow, Whitworth picks it off. Monbulk maybe on the counter-attack. Tomlinson, can she win the foot race? Yes, she can. Offloads to Rhodes Anderson. Ferguson gets the hand in, but she's given away contact. Rhodes Anderson, laterally to Paget. Looked at Taylor momentarily. Retreats to Smith. She goes back to Paget. Taylor thought about Fox. Tomlinson and Mac Fox. Won't have the look at goal. That's got to be contacted. It is. So Mac Fox, this to get it back to 2 goals. The difference, and she's got it. 3 goals in a row for Emerald. And they're right back on the heels of Monbulk. So can the Hawks find a steadier? The Bombers suddenly with a bit of momentum in this game. Ferguson gets it away just in time. Kelly offloads. Scott Thomas finds Stubbs. And that was very good defensive work. Rhodes Anderson managed to tap it into the fingertips of Steph Ferguson. So Emerald on the counter-attack again. Rhodes Anderson laterally to Taylor. Taylor offloads back to Rhodes Anderson. She goes short to Paget. Paget puts him inside the attacking third to Tomlinson. She'll go over the top to Fox. McDowell nearly picked it off, but couldn't take the ball cleanly, and Emerald can continue to press. So this is a really good build-up from the Bombers. Fox. This for 4 goals in a row for Emerald. And to cut the margin back to 1 goal, the difference, and Mac Fox makes no mistake, 16 goals to 15. And the Bombers right back in this semi-final. And just like that again, Emerald breaking too early, and they've coughed it up. Stubbs, Kelly, McDowell, long drive, nearly picked up by Rhodes Anderson, cleverly done by Ferguson. And Perry Reid puts it away. Back to 2 goals the difference. Again, Monbulk with a response. Had the answer so far in this first semi-final. Ferguson faked and then just goes short to McDowell. She retreats to Kelly. Kelly will go short to Ferguson. Ferguson on to Stubbs. Stubbs. Rhodes Anderson pulled up for contact. Looked at Perry Reid, and Nicole McDowell stepped offside. So a little reprieve for Emerald. They can again get themselves onto the counter-attack. Rhodes Anderson to Tomlinson. Tomlinson offloads back to Rhodes Anderson. Woodrow gets involved. Tomlinson back to Woodrow. She'll go laterally to Rhodes Anderson. Fox offloads. Taylor retreats to Paget, who then goes back to Taylor. And that's a good feed to Woodrow. Won't have a look at goal. Taylor finds Mac Fox. And Mac Fox with another opportunity to... Oh, no. And Mac Fox has fluffed it. Breeze maybe just caught it slightly, but again, another opportunity goes begging for Emerald as they can counter-attack. Kelly, Scott Thomas, back to Kelly. Short to Scott Thomas. Stubbs eventually mops up the work. Scott Thomas will go laterally into the hands of Kelly. Kelly looks around, eventually decides McDowell was the option. Offloads to Stubbs. Good take from Ferguson. And Perry Reid, how about that take? Nice and clean to the one hand. Gets it back out to a 3-goal difference for Monbulk. 18 goals to 15. Emerald with a centre pass. Woodrow onto Tomlinson. Waste no time to Fox. She comes back to Taylor. Taylor. Tomlinson. Gets it under her control. And Krista Tomlinson eventually finds Mac Fox, who gets back to 2 goals the difference. 18 goals to 16. Oh, gee, Rhodes Anderson got a hand in, but Stubbs mopped up the work. McDowell, beautifully done. That was a bullet to Perry Reid, but she made it work. Steph Ferguson doesn't convert. Perry Reid, though, recovers off the rebound, and she does convert the opportunity. Gets it back out to a 3-goal difference. 19 goals to 16. Woodrow, long drive. Eventually Taylor got on the end of it. Goes laterally to Woodrow. Whitworth picks it off. And Monbulk on the counter-attack. Kelly through hands. Mac Fox recovers it for Emerald. Woodrow thought about the feed to Fox. Decided against it. Tomlinson. Oh, no. And they've fluffed it up again, Emerald. Kelly picks it off. And Monbulk again on the counter-attack. Kelly with ball in hand. Scott Thomas. Stubbs. Kelly. Ferguson. And And here is Perry Reid. This to put it back out to 4 goals of difference, and she puts it away. 20 goals to 16. McDowell, Ferguson, long drive, very well done as well. Quick ball movement from Monbulk, 5 goals of difference, 21 goals to 16. And the Hawks again with all the ascendancy in the first semi-final. Tomlinson, Emerald need to find a response. Tomlinson probably got it away just in time. Fox wasn't quite on the same page with Woodrow. But in all of that, she does get the goal and gets one back for Emerald. 21 goals to 17. Still 4 goals of difference the way of the Hawks. Ferguson. Padgett. It's going to stay with Monbulk. It was a good effort by Alice Padgett, but wasn't to be. Stubbs. Long drive. Sort of pulled it short in the end to Ferguson, and that's really good work there from Sophie Stubbs and Steph Ferguson. And the Hawks skipper puts it away. Back to 5 goals of difference. 22 goals to 17. Tomlinson over the top to Taylor. And Mac Fox did well, got front position on Whitworth. Every shot at goal at the moment for Emerald, so crucial. Mac Fox puts it away, back to 4 goals of difference, 22 goals to 18. Stubbs fakes. Oh, how about that, Perry Reid? Somehow, with all the room in the world, puts it away, back to 5 goals of difference, 23 goals to 18. Woodrow, long drive, beautifully done to Tomlinson. Thought about Fox, decided against it. It's cut off beautifully by Scott Thomas. Monbulk on the counter-attack again. She offloads, does it well to Kelly. On to Scott Thomas. She finds Ferguson. Laterally to Stubbs. Back to Ferguson. Stubbs again involved. Retreats to McDowell. She'll go. Oh, gee, it's worked out at the end of Scott Thomas. Woodrow got a hand in, but the ball trickles out of play and stays with the Hawks. So Jen Dewhurst on the court for the first time. Dewhurst. Stubbs. Beautiful take in the one hand. And that is a bullet to Steph Ferguson, who did well to keep it in play. Across to Reid and make that a 6-goal difference. Biggest lead of the game in the first semi-final, 24 goals to 18. The Hawks well and truly in control now. Good long drive, Ferguson, Reid. And Perry Reid pulled up a little bit sore in that contest, but converts a goal anyway, makes it 7 goals of difference. So Krista Tomlinson's come off. Erin Anson comes in to wing attack. So Krista Tomlinson's going to jump back into the centre to replace Maddie Taylor, I imagine. Maybe Taylor to jump back into wing attack, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, Woodrow needs to convert here for Emerald, and she does. Back to 6 goals of difference, 25 goals to 19. McDowell. And Taylor did well, got a hand in. Anson cleans up the mess. Fox. All the way back to Rhodes Anderson. Anson gets involved again. Long one to Fox. Good feed, Woodrow. Came off the hands of Whitworth. Stacey Woodrow tries to go back to Anson. Ball comes into the hands of Mac Fox. This for... No, she feeds to Woodrow. This for back-to-back goals for Emerald. Whitworth taken out of it. And eventually it drops for Stacey Woodrow. Back-to-back goals for the Bombers. Back to 5 goals of difference. Maddie Taylor with the centre pass. Retreats to Anson. Oh, there we go. Contact against Anson, I think it was. Dewhurst is involved. Offloads to McDowell. Quickly fires it off to Ferguson. A bit unsure where to go. Eventually she finds McDowell. That's a really good feed. And Perry Reid with another goal. Back to 6 goals of difference. 26 goals to 20. The Hawks with another centre pass. Well and truly in control this first semi-final. Ferguson waits and waits. Finds Dewhurst. Dewhurst over the top to Stubbs. Out wide to Ferguson. Smith pulled up for contact. And Perry Reid converts another opportunity. Back to 7 goals of difference. 27 goals to 20. Anson fakes, then retreats to Taylor. Oh, no. Bit too much on that pass, and Paige Whitworth can get the Hawks moving out of defence. Dewhurst, good take. Offloads it to Stubbs. That is a bullet to Ferguson. Ferguson fakes, eventually finds McDowell. McDowell did well to keep it in. She'll go back to Ferguson. Ferguson, with plenty of options to work with, decides to go to Stubbs. Scott Thomas back to Stubbs. Long drive. Perry Reid, well done. Front spot on Smith. And make that 8 goals the difference for Monbulk. 28 goals to 20. And the Hawks now with all the momentum in this game. Ferguson. Back to Dewhurst. Dewhurst onto McDowell. And here is Perry Reid. Making 9 goals the difference for the Hawks. 29 goals to 20. Krista Tomlinson back on, this time a centre. And it looks like Alice Paget's going to jump into goal defence in a couple of moments. So Taylor Simonson's on the court as well. So Emma really swinging a few changes. The Hawks have forced yet another turnover. Whitworth, Dewhurst. Back to Whitworth. Whitworth with a bit of uncertainty, but eventually finds Dewhurst. She'll go back to Whitworth. Whitworth, McDowell, laterally, Scott Thomas, Stubbs, Ferguson. A bit too much on the feed. So a bit of a reprieve for the Emerald defence, but still so much work that needs to be done. Tomlinson, long drive, or nearly went over the third, but it just fell for Anson. Comes back to Tomlinson. She'll retreat to Paget. Tomlinson again is involved. Obstruction called against McDowell. Anson, beautifully done. Here is Mac Fox. Every goal crucial for Emerald. Every shot at goal that is. That one does go through, so they get one back, the Bombers. 29 goals to 21. McDowell. And Emerald breaking too early. So Woodrow comes off. Jackie Cutting comes into goal attack, and in all that, Steph Ferguson pushes it straight back out to 9 goals of difference. 30 goals to 21. Tomlinson, Cutting, waits and waits. And well done, Jackie Cutting. Back onto the court. And straight back to scoring goals. So Paget off, Smith back into goal defence. McDowell, Stubbs, back to McDowell. Brodie Smith, though, brilliantly done. Such a crucial intercept, that one. Anson, Tomlinson, long drive, gets it away to Fox. Fox looked at Cutting, comes back to Tomlinson for the time being. Cutting nearly got herself involved. Whitworth, in fact, cuts it off. Scott Thomas. Stubbs, laterally, here is Dewhurst. Stubbs tries to break away. Whitworth took too long. So well done there by Simonson and Tomlinson. Just forcing Whitworth to hold the ball for too long. Fox. Bit errant with the pass, but Emerald ultimately maintain possession. So Anson back to Simonson, and then back to Anson. Inboard to Tomlinson, all the way across to Fox. Fox, Whitworth again. What a game she's played. Another interception. Dewhurst finds Scott Thomas. The Hawks on the counter-attack. Stubbs, long drive into the attacking third. McDowell fakes. And Smith, that's got to be contact. Reid takes a bit of a tumble. She's back up. I think this will be a shot at goal on the siren. Steph Ferguson will take it, in fact, and doesn't convert. A little reprieve for Emma right on half-time. So it's an 8-goal difference at the main change. 30 goals to 22 the way of the Hawks. We'll head off to a break now for half-time. When we come back, we'll bring you all the action from the second half. Welcome back to Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve for the second half of the first semi-final. It's the Hawks by 10 goals. It's Emerald. Oh, so by 8 goals, in fact. It's Krista Thompson with the centre pass. Woodrow. Oh, dear. Instant turnover for the Bombers. Paige Whitworth didn't need to do a single thing. Just wait for the ball to trickle out of play. So Whitworth to Kelly. Whitworth, this time to Scott Thomas. Back to Whitworth. Scott Thomas again is involved. Tomlinson picks it off. So now the Bombers get themselves back on the counter-attack. Kelly gives away contact, but fell into the hands of Krista Tomlinson anyway. Cutting. Back to Tomlinson and Woodrow. So can the Bombers get the first goal of the second half? They cannot. Woodrow unable to convert, and the Hawks again will find themselves on the counter-attack. Scott Thomas. Kelly. Goes laterally to Whitworth and then back into the hands of Scott Thomas. Across to McDowell. Whitworth looks up ahead. Long drive. Nearly over the third. In fact, the umpire reckons it was over the third. So maybe a bit lucky there for Emerald. I thought it just fell in, but they do get an opportunity to counter-attack. But no, they've coughed it up again. Sophie Stubbs, brilliant. Kelly waits and then just goes short to Scott Thomas. Offloads to McDowell. She finds Stubbs. Ferguson thought about Reid. Stubbs, McDowell, and Steph Ferguson lines them up and puts it away. 9 goals the difference, 31 goals to 22. Hawks get the first of the second half. Nicole McDowell with the centre pass. Stubbs over the top. Ferguson retreats to Kelly. Short to Stubbs. Looks around. Oh, I don't think McDowell's quite on the same page, but she made it work anyway. Ferguson waits and waits. Gets it back to Sophie Stubbs. And that's a good feed to Steph Ferguson and make that back-to-back goals for the Hawks. 10 goals the difference. 22 goals to 32. The way of Monbulk. Taylor. Oh, it's got to be contact. And it is. Tomlinson. Woodrow. Beautifully done. And Jackie Cutting for responding goal for Emerald. And she's got it. 32 goals to 23. So they get one back, the Bombers, but still a lot of work to be done. McDowell. Stubbs. Back to Nicole McDowell. And Brody Smith. Oh, no. Sorry, it was Rhodes Anderson. In fact, Perry Reid in. All of that. Puts it away. Back to 10 goals the difference. 33 goals to 23. Woodrow. Tomlinson. Short feed to Cutting. Now Woodrow. Scott Thomas. No. And Woodrow eventually gets it across to Fox. Whitworth taken out of it. And Jackie Cutting gets one back for the Bombers. 33 goals to 24. So can they string a couple of goals together here, Emerald? They've got to force a couple of turnovers. This might be a chance. Tomlinson. Woodrow looks around. Retreats to Smith. Goes across to Simonson. Smith. Long drive. Cutting. Good quick ball movement from the Bombers. Whitworth taken out of it. And Jackie Cutting, back-to-back goals for Emerald, back to 8 goals the difference, 33 goals to 25. Maybe a little spark here for the Bombers. Can they find some energy off this? Cutting, waits, retreats to Taylor, Tomlinson, Woodrow. Clever feed. Jackie Cutting gets another look. This for 3 in a row for the Bombers. And to get it back to 7 goals the difference. Maybe a bit of life still in this first semi-final. Emerald trying to keep their season alive. Ferguson. Kelly, McDowell, back into the hands of Kelly, and then Stubbs looks up ahead, decides against it for the moment. McDowell, Stubbs, Smith. Has she done enough? No, she hasn't. And Perry Reid has not converted. So reprieve for Emerald. Rhodes Anderson, back to Smith, on to Rhodes Anderson, looks, gets it back to Smith. Thought she might have stepped offside, but she's actually got the goal defence, so she's okay. Simonson to Woodrow. Tomlinson to Taylor, and then to Cutting. Whitworth taken out of it. Cutting to make it 4 goals in a row for Emerald. She's got it. Back to 6 goals the difference. Bombers with a bit of momentum. Tomlinson with a centre pass. Every goal so crucial. Tomlinson retreats to Smith. Tomlinson spills it. Simonson recovers. Simonson. Oh, to Smith. The Monbulk pressure pretty good though. Taylor all the way across to Tomlinson. Cutting. Tomlinson waits, gets it off to Taylor. Taylor, Woodrow. Stacey Woodrow to make it 5 goals in a row for Emerald, and she's got it back to 5 goals the difference. The Bombers aren't done with yet. Suddenly Monbulk under a bit of pressure. McDowell to Stubbs. McDowell takes it cleanly. Looks up ahead, retreats to Stubbs. Stubbs. Simonson taken out of it for the moment. Short one. Good one to Ferguson. Ferguson waits around. She eventually gets it back to Stubbs. Ferguson, can she get the responding goal? She can. So they get one back, the Hawks. Bit of a steadier, which I think they needed. With all the momentum going the way of Emerald. Cutting. Tomlinson. Woodrow won't have a look at goal. Comes across to Taylor. Taylor, Cutting. And contact called against Cutting. Not happy with that one, but Whitworth offloads. Kelly. McDowell did well to keep it in play. Over the top. That's got to be contact against Smith. Yep. And Steph Ferguson with plenty of room to work with. Back-to-back goals for the Hawks. Back to 7 goals the difference. And Nicole McDowell, again, just as Emerald were starting to press. The Hawks can re-extend the margin. Stubbs with a long drive. Ferguson did well between Simonson and Smith, and she finds Perry Reid. Reid gets a second look. 8 goals the difference for the Hawks. 36 goals to 28. Tomlinson with the centre pass. Beautifully done over the top to Woodrow. That is a bullet to Cutting. Back to Tomlinson. Cutting. Tomlinson. Woodrow over the top. And Jackie Cutting. Like I've said plenty of times today, all these shots are goal so crucial for Emerald. She gets that one, so they get it back to 7 goals of difference to the Bombers. But again, they're well and truly in arrears and have a lot of work to do. Stubbs, that's a bullet from Ferguson. And the Hawks looking for that instant response. And Perry Reid provides it. Back to 8 goals of difference, 37 goals to 29. Tomlinson to Woodrow, to Tomlinson. Cutting. Whitworth just gives away contact. Woodrow. Short with a feed. Nicely done. To Jackie Cutting, who converts. Again, gets it back to 7 goals of difference. 37 goals to 30. Ferguson. Good short one to Stubbs. Stubbs. Back to Ferguson. And here is Perry Reid. Did well, kept her balance, didn't fall out of play, and she gets it back to 8 goals of difference, 38 goals to 30. As three-quarter time begins to approach. Tomlinson. And Cutting again, pulled up for contact. Whitworth can get the Hawks on the counter-attack. Dewhurst to Whitworth and then to Scott Thomas. Back to Dewhurst. Paget tries to pick it off but couldn't get to the ball in time. Ferguson thought about Reid. Comes across to McDowell. Stubbs, Ferguson, Steph Ferguson puts it away. 9 goals of difference for the Hawks. We've got one hand at this preliminary final spot. Contact against Smith. Well, umpire calls them to go. Didn't matter. Ferguson was able to take it cleanly anyway, and Steph Ferguson now gets a look at goal. Off balance, and she's turned it over. So maybe a chance for Emerald on the counter attack. Move this ball really quickly as well. Tomlinson gets it back from Woodrow. She'll go. No. Another mistake. Nothing going right for Emerald again. Scott Thomas, Stubbs, long drive, McDowell all on her own. Comes back to Scott Thomas. She'll go back to McDowell. Ferguson over the top, and here is Perry Reid. And she will make this a 10-goal difference, 40 goals to 30. And another turnover for Emerald. Nothing going right for him. Dewhurst. Woodrow gets a hand in, and it's just come off the hand of Dewhurst. So the Bombers can counter-attack. Simonson to Taylor. Taylor waits. Back to Tomlinson. Beautifully done. Here is Jackie Cutting. She can get one back for Emerald, and she does not. Taylor to Tomlinson. Goes back to Taylor. Woodrow had front position momentarily, but Scott Thomas managed to get herself to the front. So a couple of changes again for Emerald. Paget back on. Rhodes Anderson, Smith has swapped. In the meantime, Emerald get one back, so back to 9 goals the difference, 40 goals to 31. Nicole McDowell in the meantime with the centre pass. Short one, good one to Ferguson. On to Stubbs. Stubbs. McDowell. Beautifully done. Perry Reid. Back to 10 goals the difference, 41 goals to 31. Paget. Rhodes Anderson, Woodrow, Taylor, Cutting. And Jackie Cutting gets it back to 9 goals the difference, 41 goals to 32 with three-quarter time not far away. And beautifully done, Perry Reid. Back to 10 goals the difference, 42 goals to 32. So Tomlinson in the centre. Woodrow got it from Taylor, over the top to Cutting. Cutting retreats to Taylor. Taylor looks up ahead but goes back to Paget. Tomlinson eventually finds Woodrow, nearly lost control but gathered the ball eventually. Tomlinson fakes and then eventually finds Cutting, who gets one back for the Bombers. 42 goals to 33, still the way at Monbulk. The Hawks still well and truly in control of this game. Stubbs waits, comes back to Ferguson. Ferguson back to Stubbs. And Perry Reid did well. Front spot on Smith and... Oh, no. Smith couldn't take it cleanly. Ferguson recovers. Smith, kept in play. Ferguson eventually tracks it back. Stubbs, Paget. Contact called against Smith. So multiple opportunities for the Bombers to pick it off, but they failed to do so. And in all of that, Perry Reid extends the margin back out to 10 goals. 43 goals to 33. Good long drive. Cutting. Tomlinson. Taylor. Off the hands of Barnett. He's come onto the court for the first time today. Oh, well done, Taya Barnett. Straight into the action. And Monbulk again are on the counter-attack. Dewhurst gets involved. She'll go back to Barnett. Short one to Ferguson. Ferguson laterally to McDowell. Short to Stubbs. And Perry Reid, nicely done. Another one-on-one victory against Brodie Smith. Make that 11 goals a difference for the Hawks. Biggest lead of the game for them now, 44 to 33. Smith, can she keep it in play? Umpire lets it go. Tomlinson needs to offload, and she does. Good long drive to Woodrow. Rhodes-Anderson goes back to Woodrow. She retreats back to Rhodes-Anderson. Paget to Tomlinson. And well done, Jackie Cunning got front spot on Whitworth. And should get it back to 10 goals a difference for Emerald, and she does. 44 goals to 34. Tomlinson will go laterally to Paget. Got Taylor as a long option, but goes the shorter one to Tomlinson. Eventually, Taylor does get the ball in her hands. Cutting. Taylor. Cutting with front spot on Whitworth. This for back-to-back goals for the Bombers. And Jackie Cutting does not convert. Whose hand was it off? Off Cutting. Whitworth. Oh, Tomlinson nearly picked it off, but stepped offside. Whitworth. Barnett. Long drive, beautifully done to McDowell. McDowell with another long drive into the hands of Ferguson with plenty of room to work with. Comes back to McDowell, short to Stubbs, looks up ahead to Reid. Ferguson, McDowell keeps it in. Ferguson, Stubbs, and Steph Ferguson, front spot on Rhodes-Anderson, and puts it away. Back to 11 goals of difference, 45 goals to 34. Emerald season on life support at the moment. It has to be said, Brodie Smith, did she? No, she's done well enough. Didn't give away contact. Well done, Brodie Smith. Crucial moment of this game for Emerald. Long drive, finds Cutting, comes back. McDowell got a hand in, but couldn't complete the job. Tomlinson, waste no time to Taylor. Taylor. Woodrow onto Cutting, and the Bombers get one back, though, to eventually drops. And back to 10 goals the difference, 45 goals to 35. Woodrow over the top to Taylor. Good quick ball movement from the Bombers. Cutting's got it. So back-to-back shots a goal for Jackie Cutting. Can she make it back-to-back goals? She can. Back to 9 goals the difference. 45 goals to 36. McDowell waits. Eventually gets it onto Ferguson. Long drive. Smith with front position. She's got to keep it in, and she does. But Stubbs was there to pick it off. Oh, no, they've muddled it up, Emerald. And Steph Ferguson makes them pay right on the three-quarter time siren. Back out to a 10-goal difference, 46 to 36 at the final change. We'll head off to a break for three-quarter time. When we come back, we'll bring you all the action from the final quarter. And welcome back to Yarra Junction Memorial Reserve for the final quarter of the first semi-final between Monbulk and Emerald. It'll be Chris and Tomlinson with the centre pass. It's Monbulk by 10 goals. And we are underway in the final quarter. Taylor back to Tomlinson. Quick one to Jackie Cutting, and that's a good feed from Maddie Taylor. Jackie Cutting. Scott Thomas puts it out of play. Tomlinson, nice take in the one hand. Back to Woodrow, and Jackie Cutting gets a second look, and this time she does convert. So they get the first of the last quarter, Emerald. Back to 9 goals to difference, but still a lot of work to be done. Kelly, Stubbs. Not Kelly, sorry, in fact, McDowell. Ferguson to Stubbs. And back to 10 goals the difference, 47 goals to 37. Tomlinson, Taylor, cutting. Couple of 1-2s and there we go. Back to 9 goals the difference. 47 goals to 38. Stubbs waits and eventually offloads to Scott Thomas. Bit of an awkward one, but it works in the end. McDowell back to Scott Thomas. Thought about Kelly, but gets him moving forward to McDowell. Wanted to pull the trigger, decided against it. McDowell again. Want to pull the trigger. Good defensive pressure from Tomlinson. And Perry Reid did well. Got front spot. And Rhodes Anderson doing everything she can. And she's done well enough. So the Bombers may just be on the counter-attack. Padgett, had it knocked out of her hands, but Smith recovered it. Good long drive to Tomlinson. Another long drive onto Woodrow. Woodrow doesn't have a whole lot to go to. She retreats to Rhodes Anderson. Short to Taylor. Taylor underground and does it well to Cutting. Cutting laterally to Tomlinson. Tomlinson, Woodrow. Whitworth knocks it away, but she's given away contact. So it'll come back to Krista Tomlinson. So Jackie Cutting, this for back-to-back goals for Emerald. This to get it back to 8 goals the difference, and she converts, and they've got the centre pass. So maybe one last roll of the dice for Emerald, but they've got to get motoring right now. So contact against Ferguson. Padgett with ball in hand. She goes across to Rhodes Anderson. She'll go short to Tomlinson. Wants Taylor. Eventually gets it to her. Over the top of Kelly. Woodrow. Whitworth nearly cuts it off, but Stacey Woodrow eventually gets a look at goal. Whitworth got a hand in, but Cutting eventually collects it off hands. And Jackie Cutting makes it 3 in a row for Emerald. 47 goals to 40. Is the revival happening for Emerald? Ferguson to Scott Thomas. Back to Kelly. Woodrow. Desperation really showing here. Stubbs. Ferguson. Beautifully done. Didn't panic. Got it to Perry Reid. She puts it away back to 8 goals the difference. 48 goals to 40. So the Bombers know they've got to be quick. Tomlinson gets it away to Woodrow. She goes across to Taylor. Taylor back to Tomlinson. Cutting calls for it. And eventually Woodrow with front spot on Scott Thomas. Won't have a look at goal. Kelly knocks it out of play. Might have stepped offside anyway. So it's all to play for Emerald. They've got to force the hand. Still 8 goals adrift. And Cutting puts it away. Back to 7 goals the difference. 48 goals to 41. Can they force a turnover, the Bombers? McDowell out wide to Ferguson. She'll retreat to Kelly. McDowell waits and it's going to be brought forward. Ferguson goes short. And there's another one, 49 to 41. And that one's knocked out of play. It's going to come back the other way. Comes out wide. Beautifully done. Scott Thomas. Good long drive. She finds Ferguson. On to Sophie Stubbs. Looks around. Ferguson. Perry Reid can't get under her control. She's lost her footing. Ferguson. Rhodes Anderson. Ferguson is pulled up for contact. So the Bombers with a chance to counter-attack. Tomlinson with a good long drive onto Woodrow. She comes back into Taylor. Cutting. Cutting puts it away. Back to 6 goals the difference. Or 7 goals the difference, sorry. Perry Reid gets it over the back and doesn't convert. Knocked away. Rhodes Anderson. Did Tomlinson keep it in? No, she didn't. McDowell Nice lead under Stubbs. Ferguson with front spot. And eventually they get to Perry Reid, who re-extends it to 8 goals the difference. 50 goals to 42. Cutting. Jackie Cutting can potentially get it back to 7 goals the difference, and she does not. Whitworth has picked it off, but she's turned it over. Tomlinson looks up ahead. Gets it across to Jackie Cutting. And here we go. They get one back, the Bombers. Back to 7 goals the difference. So the Hawks in attack once again. Ferguson a bit unsure where to go. Contact called against the Bombers. Kelly. Stubbs. And Steph Ferguson doesn't convert. Contact called against Smith. Emerald trying everything they can, but still such a big mountain to climb. 7 goals adrift. And Steph Ferguson coolly slots it back to 8 goals the difference. Cutting. Retreats to Taylor. All the way out wide to Tomlinson. Fakes beautifully done by Krista Tomlinson. And Jackie Cutting gets a responding goal for Emerald. Back to 7 goals the difference. 51 goals to 44. McDowell out of the centre. Smith can't pick it off and thinks she's given away contact, and she has. Stubbs, waste no time. Steph Ferguson puts it away. Back to 8 goals the difference. 52 goals to 44. Tomlinson gets it back from Fox. Cutting. Whitworth nearly picks it off. But Mac Fox, no. Or Cutting eventually recovers. Gets one back for the Mormons. 52 goals to 45. So Nicole McDowell, Tomlinson picks it off. The Bombers are on the counter-attack. A chance to cut into the margin a bit more. Tomlinson, Anson. And Jackie Cutting, this to get it back to 6 goals the difference. And Jackie Cutting's got it. Krista Tomlinson with a centre pass. Emerald Edge a little bit closer. Tomlinson, Fox. Retreats to Anson, gets it back to Tomlinson. Over the top to Cutting. Fox being double teamed. Laterally, Taylor got up at the right time. Back inboard to Tomlinson. Cutting got a bit of contact. Whitworth, no, she's given away contact. A reprieve for Emerald. Mac Fox gets it back to 5 goals the difference. Maybe there's still a chance, Emerald. There's still a lot of work to do. But they've cut the margin down from 11 goals to 5. About midway through the final quarter. Stubbs, Ferguson, wants Reid, offloads Tomlinson. No, Stubbs did well. Recovers the ball. Beautifully done by McDowell. Good take. Puts it up. Perry Reid. Contact against Rhodes Anderson. And Perry Reid, this just for a steadier for Monbulk. And she puts it away. 53 goals to 47. Taylor waits. Gets it to Cutting. Wanted to offload to Fox. Tomlinson did well with a wet ball. So crucial. She kept that ball in play and she made it work. Fox steps up to the plate and she nails it. 53 goals to 48. Again, Emerald get it back down to 5 goals the difference. But they've got to force a few more turnovers. Stubbs. Nearly a chance for Taylor. Sophie Stubbs spills it. Triggles out of play. Stays with the Hawks. McDowell. High up and under ball. Smith cuts it off and the Bombers are on the counter-attack again. Rhodes Anderson and Smith working in tandem. Smith wants to go long. She pulls it short to Anson, sorry. Rhodes Anderson, Tomlinson. Ferguson pulled up for contact. Emerald know they've got to be quick. Time is against them. Anson, Tomlinson, over the top. Fox has lost control of it, but Barnett's turned it over. Cutting, Fox. To get it back to 4 goals, the difference. And Jackie Cutting, it eventually drops. It's back to 4 goals, the difference. Tomlinson's got the centre pass, and Emerald suddenly on Monbulk's heels. Long drive onto Cutting. Oh, they nearly turned it over, Emerald, but a bit of contact from one of the Monbulk defenders has let them off. Tomlinson, another contact call. Jackie Cutting. This to get it back to 3 goals. No mistake at all from Jackie Cutting. 53-50. Emerald continue to close the gap. And they've turned it over. Can you believe this? The Bombers on the counter-attack again. And now it's coming back the other way. Oh, no. The square up. So can the Hawks get a responding goal just to steady the ship a little bit? Ferguson. McDowell. It doesn't stay in play. Can you believe this? Another chance for Emerald. Anson. Ferguson, Stubbs. Well done, Steph Ferguson. When a team needed it most. So the pressure of this final getting to both teams at the moment. Stubbs did well, takes the wet ball cleanly. Ferguson offloads to Stubbs. She finds McDowell. Perry Reid doesn't want to have a look at goal. And Perry Reid needs to convert here, and she does. Gets a steadier for Monbulk. 54-50. Cutting did well against Whitworth. She comes inboard to Tomlinson. Whitworth, brilliantly done. And maybe 1 goal for Monbulk will be all it needs. High up and under ball, Tomlinson doing everything she can, but it's not going to be enough for the moment. Barnett, Dewhurst. Back to Barnett. Wants to go long, but pulls it short to Stubbs. Probably the right option. Barnett gets it back under her control. Goes short to Sophie Stubbs. Ferguson. Stubbs. Smith knocks it away. It's not going to stay in play, though. Precious seconds ticking away from Emerald. Their season on the line. Anson runs onto it. Knocks it into the attacking third. Did she step offside? Yes, she did. Dewhurst in the latter stages of this last quarter to Ferguson. Off to Stubbs. Dewhurst right in a measure at the transverse line. Ferguson could push it out to 5 goals the difference. Can't do so. Smith picks it off. And Emerald need to go. They've got to have to take risks through the hands of Perry Reid. Stubbs brilliantly done. And again, Monbulk on the counter-attack. Stubbs, long drive. Ferguson wants Reid, gets it to her. And this might just about do it. And Perry Reid puts it away. 5 goals the difference. Can't be long left now, surely. McDowell. Ferguson to Stubbs over the top, and Perry Reid doesn't convert. Does Ferguson keep it in? Ferguson nails it. 6 goals the difference for Monbulk. And I reckon that might just about do it. And there's the siren. And the Hawks hang on. Emerald threw everything at them in that last quarter. But the Hawks keep 2025 alive through to the preliminary final to take on Wandon next week. And we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to Game Faces coverage of the first semi-final here in Premier Division A grade netball in the Outer East. Don't forget at 2:20pm, live and exclusive to the local footy hub, we do have the first semi-final in the senior footy between Woorialloc and Monbulk. So make sure you tune into that. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and goodbye for now.